Hello there. It's your
Uh-oh.
girl. It's your girl Valerie Mason Chase, and welcome to another episode of Marriage Beyond the Breach. Today, it's me and the Cookie Man here. Say hi, Cookie Man.
Hi, y'all.
Oh my goodness! Now, y'all know when the Cookie Man's here, there's gonna be some stuff because he always gotta act up. But anywho,
Aw.
yes, you. But anywho, if you haven't already done so, I would appreciate if you would subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit on the notification bell so that way
Mhm.
when there is a new episode coming up, you'll be notified about any upcoming episodes. So, babe, what
Mhm.
is our topic of conversation tonight?
Micro betrayals,
Okay.
the little things
Mhm.
that break you.
That break you or break trust? Break trust.
Trust.
Well, they might break the individual
Uh-huh.
too,
Okay, well,
but
uh-huh.
you know, yeah. So we're talking about micro betrayal. So
Mhm.
as always, when we first start out, I like to define terms. So what
Mhm.
is a micro
Mhm.
betrayal? Micro betrayal is not necessarily a huge violation, such as infidelity, because a lot of times when you mention betrayal, someone's mind will immediately go to infidelity. So we're not talking about something like infidelity, but a micro betrayal is something that's often a repeated small behavior that damages emotional safety and trust over the course of time. It's not a huge impact of something like infidelity would be. And some of the things that could fall into the category could be inconsistency, it could be secrecy, it could be dismissiveness, emotional unreliability, broken promises, hiding conversations. And we know sometimes that happens, especially with the advent of cell phones. If you're having a conversation with someone that you might think is inappropriate, and you hide that conversation from your partner, either on the phone or if you had an in person conversation, you hide that from your partner. Another micro betrayal is minimizing your partner's concerns.
Mhm.
And what makes a micro betrayal significant, and like I said, it's not a huge act with a great impact, one single thing, but it's not the size of the act, but it's the emotional meaning that is attached to the repeated patterns.
Mhm.
And I have to say, it's the meaning that is attached by the offended or the betrayed partner. It's not the meaning that is attached by the offender, but it's the meaning that attached by the offendee because the person who has committed the micro betrayal may not see it as betrayal.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, now it's hard to say certain conversations I had with Gary might I don't feel a betrayal. I guess depending on men talk.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if that falls under this umbrella as I'm thinking about
Um,
it actually. It depends what we're talking about.
well, I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know. If you're talking to a guy friend,
Mhm.
let's say there was something that you are hiding from me.
Okay, of course, of course.
The betrayal isn't the fact that you're communicating to your best friend about it. The micro betrayal would be whatever it is that you're
I have
hiding.
right.
And
Mhm.
you are having a conversation with your friend about it as opposed to me as your wife.
Okay.
So, yeah, hiding a conversation, whether you have it in person or you have it on the phone or via text.
Mhm.
Hey, John, thank you for tuning in. My youngest son, he is, I gotta say, I know I have some people who watch regularly, but my son, Jono, I have to say, is my most faithful and loyal viewer. Don't look at me like
No,
that,
I'm just saying
Cookie Man.
that's I mean he does show up, but
He's here
honey,
every
you
week.
biased. That's your baby boy.
No, but it's I'm stating the facts. He's here
Okay.
every week. But anywho, thank you, baby, for showing up. And anybody else who's
Mhm.
here,
Mhm.
um, put something in the chat because we're talking about micro betrayals. And as I said, micro betrayals happen over the course of time. It's not a huge, impactful
Mhm.
event, like infidelity is. So, what are some of the things that you might consider a micro betrayal, or what are some things that you may have experienced that you would consider to be a micro betrayal? Because, as I said, inconsistency, secrecy, dismissiveness, broken promises, hiding conversations, or minimization of your partner's concerns, from my perspective, can all be considered a micro betrayal. And again, it's based on the meaning that is attached by the offended partner, not the offending partner. So, what's something else to think about?
So you ask yourself, why do small breaches sometimes hurt more than major betrayals? And the first thing that comes to my mind is like, imagine 1,000 cuts.
Yes.
It keeps happening.
Yes.
And before you have time to address the first two, you got three more. So while you're dealing with the other ones haven't had time to be discussed or to heal or to just correct themselves. And now you got 10 more.
Right.
And you're dealing with so many issues that nothing is being really worked on at all.
Nothing's being addressed. Because it's about patterns in the relationship. And let's face it, every relationship has patterns. Some of them are, quote, good. I'm this way. Good or healthy patterns, and some might be considered unhealthy patterns, but they're patterns in every relationship. So yeah, that's why micro betrayals can sometimes hurt more than one huge impact, because it's happening and then something's happening and happening over and over and over again. And after a while, that uncertainty, it becomes exhausting. You could start to feel anxious. You start to become hyper vigilant. And we're going to talk about the hypervigilance in a moment. And in some cases, you may start to doubt and question yourself. Is this really happening? Because your partner might do, we're going to talk about minimization later, but your partner may minimize when you bring your concern to them. So you may start to question, wow, was it as bad as I thought it was? Was it really a betrayal? So those types of things can happen.
And what happens when, again, with those extra cuts, when you don't have a time to discuss that? I lost my chain of thought.
Sorry. I talk too much. I done it again.
Oh, it'll come back to move on it. Because I had a good thought. I thought I had a good. Oh my goodness gracious!
Next time, write it down so you don't forget. But get your own. No, not get your own pen. I told you right down there.
Excuse me, I got to been out here and get a pen.
Get your own pen. So a moment ago, I mentioned the term hypervigilance. So how can micro betrayals possibly lead to hypervigilance? So when trust becomes very inconsistent, you sure you wouldn't use it? That's a magic marker, babe.
That's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
When trust becomes very inconsistent in a relationship, something happens to the nervous system, and your nervous system kind of adapts to all of those micro betrayals by becoming very alert. The injured party starts scanning or looking for emotional danger. It's anticipation. It's that feeling of kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, waiting for the next thing to happen. You become hyper vigilant. You're looking for it because it has happened so frequently over the course of time. You start looking for it. You start expecting it. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Lost it.
You lost. I told you to write it down.
Excuse me.
See? You don't listen.
You know what? I think I got it.
Go ahead.
It's like that gray area when you start to question yourself. Am I overreacting? You're getting that gray area. You don't know if you should react or maybe I'm overreacting, and then nothing gets done. You're just kind of stuck in the middle.
You're stuck there. Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah. Okay. And what could potentially increase a partner feeling stuck and questioning themselves is how the offender responds
to something
when their partner brings a concern to them. Because after a while, unfortunately, sometimes what happens is when one partner brings concern to the other and they are repeatedly dismissed, after a while, they stop doing it. They stop bringing their concerns. They start saying, well, listen, the last 10 times I brought something, it wasn't addressed,
Mm.
not at all. And so why bring it? Why bring that concern to them? Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Nothing. Actually, was one other thing.
Yeah.
You know, that area that you find yourself in, that place, now you
Mhm.
start to look for things,
Mhm.
like you say, become over,
Hyper vigilant.
and you go looking for something that's not there.
And that's a good point because you're hyper vigilant
Mhm.
and you are looking for something and expecting something to happen, it's very possible that it was nothing.
Mhm, mhm.
Maybe what you saw was nothing. But here's the thing. And some partners, the offender may have the potential of labeling that as insecurity. Well, you're just so insecure.
True.
You know,
Yeah,
that
I've said
ain't
it.
nothing happened over there. That was nothing. You're insecure. You're insecure. You're insecure. Sometimes it may be insecurity, but a lot of times it's not. But the other partner doesn't want to address
Excuse me.
it. And they might call it insecurity when those relational injuries and those micro betrayals continue to happen. And then the person is looking and looking and looking and looking. And I know I've heard this saying so many times before. Well, if you look for something,
You
if
go
you
looking
look,
for trouble, you're gonna
you're
find
gonna find it.
it.
But here's the thing, and this is my perspective,
Uh-huh.
and I will die on this hill. I don't care how much you look,
Mhm.
there should not be anything to find that's untoward. There shouldn't be anything
Mhm.
there. I don't care if you look every day and twice on Sunday. There should not be anything there. So I don't like that whole mindset. Well, if you go looking for something,
Mhm,
you're gonna
mhm.
find it. No, there should not be anything to find. You know, a moment ago we talked about minimization.
Mhm.
So what's another thing to address, babe?
Why is minimization often more damaging than the original behavior?
Mm.
Because minimization invalidates emotional reality.
Right. That thing we just talked
Mhm,
about
mhm.
where the offended person starts to question
Right,
themselves
right.
and start to think that maybe I am overreacting. Maybe there's
Mhm,
nothing there because your partner might say things like you're overreacting.
mhm.
It's not that serious or you're too sensitive. Whew. I know hate's a strong word, but I hate that when one partner says to the other that it's not that serious. Well, obviously, it's serious enough for your partner to bring the concern to you. So, from my perspective, if it is a concern of one partner, it should be a concern of both partners. And therefore, it's a concern of the overall relationship and bears having a conversation about it and
Right. So
addressing.
I was
What do
about
you
to say,
think?
so it's best for the relationship if you're bringing something to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I still might say, babe, it's not that serious,
Well, you shouldn't say
but,
that. That's
but,
the wrong response.
but let me finish.
Okay. And then I'm
but,
gonna tell you.
but we can talk about it. I don't, as long as I'm willing, it's one thing to say it's not that serious and then don't want to talk about it. Or you're just saying, you know, honey, if it's a concern, let's talk about
Exactly. Because when you tell me or when one partner
it.
tells the other who has brought a concern, it's not that serious. What you're saying is your pain doesn't matter. That's what you're saying, in essence. If you minimize, if you say, oh, you're overreacting, it ain't that serious, you're too sensitive, what you're doing is saying to your partner is
Mhm.
that their hurt, their pain, their emotional upset doesn't matter because you're labeling it, you're choosing to label it as not
So
serious.
you labeling it as pain. Everything you bring to me doesn't mean it's because you're in pain.
We're talking about micro betrayals.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm not saying everything one partner brings to
Mhm,
the
mhm,
other is because it's a painful experience,
mhm.
but for the purposes of
Of the
this
micro,
topic,
okay, certain,
we're
okay,
talking about
okay.
micro
Right,
betrayals.
right, right.
And whenever there is a betrayal, whenever there is a break in trust, there is going to be some emotional pain that's attached to that.
Mhm.
I don't think you could have a betrayal without having some emotional hurt. What do you
Well, I
think?
know, you know, in retrospect, that's great. But I'm
Hmm.
looking at
Hmm.
these things, you're overreacting. It's not this serious. You're too sensitive. I probably done said these a million
Oh,
damn
you
times.
have. You absolutely have.
So that's why I guess I'm trying to navigate something that I've always done.
Yeah. I get that.
So it's obviously, the pattern. That's the way I've always done.
Right.
So it's not easy to kind of. I'm like the Titanic. You can't just stop me in the middle of the ocean, turn me around, and do right.
Yeah, but the Titanic sunk, baby.
Hello. Maybe that's
the Titanic hit an iceberg, and that mofo sank.
I'm an aircraft carrier going through the ocean. You can't stop me in the middle.
He's gone from the Titanic to an aircraft
carrier. You got to
give
me a chance to hear the stuff so I can turn around and get it right. I like to think now my first response is not going to be, you're too sensitive.
You don't do that as often as you used to, but here's the thing. Just because any of us have operated or responded or reacted a certain way for a long time doesn't mean we have to keep on doing it that way.
Of course not.
If you always do what you always done, you're gonna always get what you always got, and it's not always a good outcome. You want a healthy outcome when you are having conversations and interacting with your partner. So, yeah. What are we talking about? The minimization. Right. We want to avoid engaging in minimization or minimizing comments because you're telling your partner that what they're feeling doesn't matter to you. You have no concern about their heart, because that's what we did. These are matters of the heart. I say to the couples that I counsel all the time, I want you to not just hear what your partner is saying. I want you to hear their heart. What do you hear their heart saying? Beyond the words that are being spoken. Because sometimes you have to look deeper to fully grasp what your partner is saying to you. And that's why having a strong emotional connection is so important. Because when you have that strong emotional connection, it makes it a lot easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but it makes it easier to tap into the heart conversation that your partner is having.
And to be able to recognize when your partner is coming from a place of genuine concern, hurt, however you want to phrase it.
Yeah. So another question is, someone might ask, is forgetting small things really betrayal? Not necessarily, because not every mistake is a betrayal. Some things are just mistakes, and we're human. We forget things. So
nothing, man. Read, honey. Man, I can't forget nothing.
Anywho,
go ahead.
Again, the issue is the pattern and the meaning of being attached to whatever. If your partner consistently feels emotionally unimportant, remember that. If they feel that they're not a priority, or if they feel emotionally unsafe because of repeated inconsistency, then something that may seem like a small behavior can have a huge or a larger emotional impact, because there's two parts. There's intent and there's impact. One partner can have an intention of one thing, but it can have an entirely different impact on the other partner. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I've lived it, done it, all that stuff. Boy, that
you done what you done?
Right along. No, obviously, as I was going over this, and as we go through this, I can see a lot of the patterns over the years that I developed. And again, like I said, I've said those things many times. React and stuff like that. But when you have that connection, when you come that connection, like I said, a lot of times I don't necessarily even hear all of you might be saying, but because of the emotional connection, I can feel it, I can see it, and sometimes that tells me, Frank, you need to really listen to what's being said now.
And that's right, and not tune the sister out.
Yes,
because you be tuning me out sometimes. Because I do talk a lot, okay? Admittedly, I do talk a lot. And sometimes I have to, I'm learning how to say more with fewer words.
Mm.
And that's not easy.
Mm.
But I understand that where a lot of men are concerned, not all, but with a lot of men, if we say too much, they're going to hear what you said in the beginning. They're going to hear the last thing you said, but a lot of what's in the middle is going to be lost. And rather than run the risk of not being heard, because you want to not just be heard, you want to be understood. And so rather than run the risk of not being understood, I think brevity or shortening what you're going to say is in order. And I'm teaching myself how to do
I
that.
put in a visual cue for you also.
And I hate that.
What is
I gotta say
what is it?
How do you say? You do this. You're talking too long, Val. You're talking too long, Val. Cut it short. Cut it short.
Exactly.
And when he does that, it makes the back of my neck get hot.
And it's not just talking to me. Even when I hear on the phone, I'm like, what's all? I'm like to myself, I'm like, what's all this extra? Cut it down.
Let's talk to somebody. It got nothing to do with you. First of all, you shouldn't be ear hustling. That's number one. If I'm on the phone with somebody else, that's not your business.
Oh Lord.
Lord have mercy, Jesus.
Yeah.
So another question to ask is,
can someone unintentionally commit micro betrayals? Unintentionally? Well, yeah. Hence the conversation, because I'm doing things that I'm not even aware of, making you uncomfortable.
Right.
It wasn't my intent.
Right.
I was completely aware of it. And if we don't have the conversation, or if it's not brought to whoever's doing it, they're going to continue to do it.
True. Very true. It comes back to what I said a moment ago about intent versus impact. You have to think about that, because just because I have in my mind a positive intent of something that I might have said or done does not negate the fact that you may have experienced a negative impact from it. And it would not be the right thing for me to do, to say, well, that wasn't my intention, so you shouldn't feel that. No, boo. It's my responsibility as your wife and someone who says I love you to consider the impact and how you are describing what that impact was. And for me not to say, well, you shouldn't feel that way. No, we have to deal with the reality that you do feel that way and address that, rather than me getting stuck on the fact that I may not have intended to hurt you, because you can hurt your partner, and you could not intend to hurt your partner, and you still hurt them, because unintentional harm still requires a level of accountability if trust has been damaged. So I'm going to say that again. Even unintentional harm, when trust has been broken, there still has to be some accountability. You can't just, or you shouldn't just sweep it up under the rug, pretend like it didn't happen, or use those phrases we said earlier about you're too sensitive and you're overreacting and whatnot. And so when we come to accountability, now we have to ask, what role does accountability play beyond an apology? Because saying I'm sorry in and of itself, that's not an accountability. Apology, saying I'm sorry, and I'm going to say this. From my perspective, this is what I believe is a full apology. I'm sorry for, and state what it is.
Oh yeah, because
if you just say I'm sorry, what does that mean? What are you apologizing for?
Absolutely, that's why I've learned it. When you say, listen, when I hear Val say she's sorry, I want to make sure I heard it right, and then I'm going to say, honey, you're sorry for what?
Exactly.
I don't, like I said, don't just be throwing something out there willy nilly and want to move away. No, baby, what you sorry for? So
an apology is verbal. Accountability is behavior. So you're looking at someone's behavior. Listen, I always say changed behavior is the best apology. So you can apologize till the cows come home. That's just words out of your mouth. but what does your behavior say? Accountability is behavior. And so true and real accountability requires changing the pattern, increased transparency. And I know a lot of times people have a problem with that, with transparency, because they think that they don't have to tell their husband or their wife everything. But if you want to have a high level of trust in your relationship, in your marriage, from my perspective, transparency is a prerequisite to having a high level of trust in your relationship. Something else that's required for accountability is emotional consistency. You can't be one way today and then different next week, and then week after that you're different. Be consistent in your behavior. You know, there's somewhere in the Bible it says, "Let your yea be yea, your nay be nay, and let that be." Don't equivocate. Don't always be on the fence, or don't say maybe, or I might, or I don't know. Oh, say yes or no with your whole chest. And how many times have I said that to you? Because sometimes I will ask Frank about doing something. Because I mean, let's face it, a lot of the things that I enjoy, Frank doesn't like. And I don't like none of the stuff he enjoys.
See, at least I like some of the things.
I don't like
A couple. She likes milk.
No. So sometimes I'll ask him about doing something with me or going somewhere with me, and he'll say, "Oh, I'm not sure. I'll think about it." And I will tell him, "Listen, I have more respect for a firm no than I do for a weak ass maybe." Because maybe to me is weak, because you're not saying anything. So what am I supposed to do? Just sit around and wait for you to make up your mind? No. I have more respect when you say no with your whole chest. You can work with that. Can you work with it maybe?
Listen.
Go ahead.
Here's my take on that.
Let me hear that. I got to drink me some water.
See, I give a firm no. It ain't gonna stop there. Well, why you won't go? What else? Excuse me. I am talking.
Go ahead.
I can't give a firm no. I feel, from my opinion, because I got to deal with, well, why are you giving no? What else you doing? How is it about money? But see, if I give a maybe or I have to think about it, I got a couple of days grace. I don't feel like she's leaning over my shoulder waiting for an answer. And sometimes a maybe is I didn't think about it. And seriously on this part.
Okay, go ahead.
Sometimes I give the maybe, and it gives me an opportunity to think what has been asked. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
How important it is for you that you want to go and you want me to be there. Sometimes I need those couple of days, say what, Frank, wow. Go back to what I'm telling you. As opposed to giving a quick no. So you want the quick no, you want me to think about it a little bit.
No, I'm gonna ask you think that. I might have to rethink that one. But
I get
I hear what you're saying. Yeah. But a lot of times when you say maybe, then I have to come back for a response. And see, that's the part that I don't like.
Right, okay.
Because if you ask me something and I say, you know what, babe, let me think about it, and I'll give you an answer. It's on me to come back to you. You shouldn't have to come back to me and ask me again.
Okay.
But when you tell me maybe, I got to come back, and then I might have to come back for the second or third time. And by the second or third time, I'm pissed. And I'll say, what the hell with it? I'll go by myself. Or I'll get a friend, a sister friend, or our daughter or somebody to go with me. Because by then I'm pissed.
That is true. I've seen that. I don't know if I necessarily completely agree that you shouldn't have to come back if I say, let me think about it. Because in that interim, while I'm thinking about it, life happens. Maybe I wasn't feeling well. Maybe the grandkids have been here, and I just might have overlooked it. You asked me something on Monday, and here it is Thursday. So come back and remind me.
No, I don't think that I should have to.
Okay,
I disagree.
No problem.
I disagree 100%, because if you tell me that you need to think about it, how do I know when you're done thinking about it?
I don't know what you asked me.
No, I don't know unless you tell me.
Okay.
I don't want to have to come back and
See?
ask you.
See, we can go either way. You don't know unless I say something. You also don't know unless you come back and ask.
Yeah,
Now,
but
if I say, baby, I'm still thinking about it.
yeah, if I'm gonna be pissed.
I, see,
If I
I
waited
can't.
a couple of days and you still have the maybe, that's when I'm pissed. And I was like, you
Okay.
know what? You just sit your little behind right there on that recliner, watch Law and Order. I'm gonna go and do whatever it is I want to do. Okay.
No problem.
So we're talking about accountability and some of the requirements for accountability. So we talked about changing the pattern. We talked about increased transparency. We talked about emotional consistency. Empathy without defensiveness. Empathy without defensiveness. Empathy without defensiveness. When your partner brings something to you, don't defend. Don't say, yeah, but, or yeah, well, I only did this, or I only did that because you did the other thing. Don't come back with that defensive response. Show some empathy for your partner. And here's another thing. Patience while you're rebuilding trust. Patience while you're rebuilding trust. And I think that the offender needs to be patient with the offended partner. Because the offended partner needs time for the trust to be built and rebuilt. And that can only happen by observing the offender's behavior over the course of time. How much time? I don't know. That's a personal thing. It depends on the relationship.
Offense, yeah.
Because at some point, if you have apology and apology and apology and apology without any change in behavior, there's no healing that can take place. Now, the offended partner looks at the offender. This is performative. You know, you're just paying lip service to this thing. You're not really changing your behavior. Changed behavior is the best apology. I will say that. I'm going to die on that hill too. Now,
you got a lot of hills to die on, baby.
I know, right? That's true. That's true. So, what's something else that we could ask?
Can trust fully recover after chronic micro betrayals? And possible responses?
Yes.
Oh, well,
but
you wanted me to read that?
I'll read it.
Oh, okay.
The short answer is yes. But recovery requires more than just the language of reconciliation. We talked just a few moments ago about behavioral change. That has to take place if healing is going to occur. See, sometimes people want healing in their relationship without changing their behavior. Can't happen. Won't happen. It's not possible. Because, as I said a moment ago, if you always do what you've always done, you're going to always get what you've always got. So there has to be more than lip service paid to it. Observation of behavior over the course of time. There's got to be honesty. There's got to be some emotional maturity. There's got to be some humility. We already said that transparency is required. There's got to be some humility. You cannot expect a partner that you've hurt by a micro betrayal or a macro betrayal, whatever the betrayal was, you cannot expect to rebuild trust without some level of humility. Because if you've got your behind on your shoulders and you're acting all cocky, you know, like you're the shizzle, how do you expect your partner to start trusting you again? If you're walking around all arrogant with your chest out, acting like your poop don't stink, come on, that can't work. Trust can recover, but you can't rush it. You absolutely cannot rush rebuilding trust. It takes time. Where did I see this? I saw someplace where trust is lost in buckets, but it's rebuilt in drops.
That
So, yeah.
makes sense. Because you over the years you've had that bucket and it's been filled with trust. And then you kick it over. It's
It's
just
gone.
spilled all over the place.
Right.
Now you got that same bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Drip, drip, drip.
Exactly.
Just the same way that bucket got filled over years of time.
Mm-hmm.
And here you go. It's all empty. Now you got to start all over.
You got to start all over again because the offended partner, they've been hurt by these micro betrayals that have occurred in pattern again and again and again.
I'm thinking usually one of the answers might be, oh, just get over it. Let's just move on and think.
Buddy, them's fighting words, y'all. Let's just move on.
Right.
Just get over it. See, here's the thing. We can get over it because whether it's a many micro betrayals, many as in MANY, many micro betrayals, or one huge betrayal, it's traumatic. And you don't just get over trauma. You've got to work at getting over traumatic events. You can't just snap your fingers or somebody say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I won't do it again." It doesn't work like that. It absolutely does not work like that. You have to work at getting healed from the traumatic event, plural. I mean, singular if it's a huge thing, or traumatic events, plural, if there are many micro betrayals that have occurred.
So how can couples tell the difference between insecurity and legitimate relational concern?
Yeah. And it's important that you make that distinction in your relationship and don't just assume that your partner is insecure because they're bringing this concern of these micro betrayals to you. Insecurity is driven internally. That's something that's on the inside, but sometimes a relationship itself has become emotionally inconsistent. So you have to look at what are these micro betrayals? How have they impacted the relationship? Yeah, it can look like insecurity to the partner who is the offender and engaging in all of those micro betrayals. But listen, if you're being secretive, if you're being dismissive, if you're being unreliable, or you're emotionally unpredictable, your partner has a legitimate concern. So it's not about them being insecure. It's about you being inconsistent in your behavior. It's about you engaging in behaviors that your partner finds hurtful in some way. And you can't dismiss that. What, did you hear something?
Thought I did, but it's just
something else. Okay. So we've got to look at the internal wounds that have occurred and what is the relational environment. Every relationship has one. What's the environment of the relationship? What is the dynamic that we've created in our relationship? Are we partners who are in tune with one another? Are we partners who consistently show care for one another? Or is there one partner who brings concerns and the other one who dismisses? Is that the thank you, babe. Is that the dynamic that you've created in your relationship? If so, from my perspective, it warrants addressing. You need to look at it and see what is the pattern in what's the pattern in your relationship. So
you want me to read the next one? I can read the next one.
Yeah, you have my permission.
Number 10.
You have my permission.
What does meaningful repair actually require? I'll give you one word.
Go ahead.
Work.
That is so true. That is so true. It absolutely does require work. requires emotional honesty and not just managing
Mm.
how you look on the outside, how you may look, but you want to have some real change. It requires that the offending or the offender, the offending partner or the offender, you've got to fully acknowledge. You
Mhm.
got to acknowledge what happened. You got to acknowledge why it hurts. You have to acknowledge how it affected safety, emotional safety within the relationship. And you also have to acknowledge what are the patterns that need to change because you cannot fix what you do not identify. You cannot fix what you refuse to acknowledge.
So
Go
how
ahead.
does it the offending person, let's say
Mm-hmm.
that's me, I've done something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How would I know why it hurt you?
You
Is it
ask me.
oh,
You
okay.
you 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 have a conversation with me.
No, because I just read I needed I took that as
You have
mean
to acknowledge.
I need to know why it hurt. I don't know
No,
why the hell it
I
hurt
didn't say you need
unless
to know what you need to know why it hurt. You need
and
to
the only way.
acknowledge
Mhm.
why it hurt me. And the only way to do that is for you to show concern
And my
by
concern is asking,
asking. Yeah.
okay,
And maybe because maybe it's something that you thought was a small thing, and maybe it's something that had it happened to you wouldn't have hurt you. So maybe you really don't understand why I'm hurt by it. And I think that's a legitimate
okay,
question.
okay.
However, I don't encourage starting any question with the word why, because why, from my perspective, puts the other person on the defensive. And so, what you and I have learned to say to each other is, "Help me understand. Help me understand what hurt you about this, Val. Help me understand what hurt this about you, Frank." So that, from my perspective, indicates a real concern or desire to know, but why has the potential to put someone on the
It just sounds like you're still
yeah,
saying why. You're just substituting a different way of saying why.
and that matters.
Okay, okay.
The Gottmans say all the time how you address something, how you approach something,
Mm-hmm.
how you start a conversation. It matters because what you say, how you say it, can have a great bearing in determining the outcome of the conversation
Absolutely.
and how your partner
Okay.
receives it.
Right.
John said a micro betrayal is a small thing unless it happened repeatedly. Just your opinion. Well, yeah, it could be about you. Absolutely right. But that's what we're talking about when something happens over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it could also be something that happens one time and your partner feels betrayed by it. I would consider that a micro betrayal because your partner feels betrayed by it. And you and your partner now, it has presented an opportunity for a broader conversation to talk about it. Go ahead. What you going to say?
Okay, it happened one time,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought we said micros are like things that are okay. That one you have this one. Okay, so it happened once.
Right.
What happens if you don't talk about it? It happens.
Well,
It's not spoke
if
on.
here's the thing,
Mm-hmm.
let's say you did something that I was hurt by. Okay. John says that is to say, sometimes you just got to get over it and move on. Ooh, doggy.
John
My
must not
father just
have
said
said
that a
that
minute
earlier.
ago. And listen, I said to him
He
that
must have us on and he in the living room. Deuce.
them's fighting words. Those are fighting words to
Yeah, I
tell
said
somebody
that
to just
earlier.
get over it. So
You
here's the
missed that
thing.
one, son.
Um, if it's something, even if it's something that's so-called small, but it results in emotional pain and we don't talk about it, it has the potential to lead to resentment.
Mm.
So that's why I believe if something is emotionally painful, you do need to talk about it. But there's a way to have that conversation. Context matters. Yeah, yeah, context does matter, but you can only determine that context by talking about it. I can't assume what the context is. We got to talk about it. You got to tell me, well, Val, this is how it transpired. Here's what happened. And these are the surrounding circumstances regarding what transpired. But I won't know that unless it's communicated. Your partner won't know that unless it is communicated. So we got to talk about it. So when we're talking about healthy repair, it isn't just a matter of can we move on? It's a matter of can we rebuild safety differently than
Right.
before?
Because the moving on, like I said, that's going to happen. Is what does it look like when you've moved on? How do we
Exactly.
move on?
How do you move on? Because if you are moving on, so to speak, by ignoring what happened, that could be emotionally damaging. So you do want to look at what happened. You want to look at the why and the wherefore and whatever, because the goal isn't just to rehash the thing. The goal is to work together to figure out how can we work together to prevent that thing from happening again. Because you don't want it to happen again and again and again and again without having any type of conversation about it. I don't think that's healthy.
And it's the more times that you have those conversations, because something else is always going to crop its head when you're in a long-term relationship
Right.
or marriage. There's something else is going to come in that's going to test you. But if you haven't had the opportunity to have these conversations and work on things, you're going to run into the wall again.
Yeah. So John said, to clarify, I didn't mean to ignore it. Talk about it, then move on. Don't make it a bigger deal than it is. Well, some things may require more than one conversation, son, even though it may be a so-called small thing. It may require more than one conversation. And I think that when you can move, quote unquote, move on from it and no longer talk about it when the injured party is ready to stop talking about it. At least that's my perspective. And again, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying that this is my perspective because I believe that, unless someone is just clinically unbalanced, when there has been a micro betrayal or a macro betrayal, and there's been an apology, there's been accountability, there's been transparency, there's been a change in behavior. At that point, I believe the offended party could be ready to move on, so to speak, and not address it any longer and not beat a dead horse, so to speak. Now, this doesn't mean that 5 years down the road, something might not occur that triggers them. Because Frank can tell you, sometimes I'm still triggered by something that he may say or do.
And you know what I hear? Yeah. There he go. There go that Frank again. I'm like saying, well, damn. Can a brother express himself or even yell without you thinking that's the guy 10 years ago? So she's right.
Yeah.
You move on, you had this conversation, everything looked good, and all it takes is just one.
Just takes one thing.
But the difference is,
yeah,
that one thing doesn't
derail us.
Right. You don't become defensive with it.
Right.
You had an opportunity to recognize it for what it is, what it was then, and what it is now.
Right.
Say, oh, listen, babe, let's just talk. Let's just talk about this. And I might even be chuckling because even though I know it's serious, and I try not to chuckle, but sometimes I guess from my point of view, I'm just still astonished how something so insignificant, in my opinion, right, just brings up something that could be 20 freaking years ago. Yeah. But I say, you know what? All right, we'll talk about it. And another good thing is it doesn't take that long to have to talk. Right. So I'm okay now.
Right. We can address it now. Whereas before, we couldn't address it. But see, that's a trigger. A trigger is a trigger. A trigger is always going to be a trigger. The difference is the emotional impact and the physiological disruption that it may occur, that may occur when the trigger happens. But yes, some things can be still triggering, even though the event, whatever it was, whatever the traumatic event was, could have happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I mean, there are some things that are triggers for me now that are connected with sexual trauma that happened more than 50 years ago. But there are certain things that still trigger me. I don't react to them now the same way that I did many, many years ago, but I'm still triggered by them because in that moment something happens. But then I talk to myself, and I think part of it is reminding oneself that I'm here now and I am safe now. And I'm not back there when that thing occurred. Um, yeah, you see my point. Okay, thank you, son. I appreciate that. So, yeah, I don't know what you wrote.
Can't read.
No, I can't read English anymore.
You need me to speak it clear. It's game time, baby. Game time.
We're finished anyway. We covered everything
Okay.
that I wanted to cover. So, if you're watching this later, we were talking about micro betrayals, those so-called little things that break trust over the course of time. And if you're watching this later and you haven't already done so, I would appreciate if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Marriage Beyond the Breach is the YouTube channel. We're also on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we're on TikTok as well. So next weekend is Memorial Day weekend. So we won't be here having live next weekend, but in 2 weeks, we'll be back. And I am going to have the person that I call one of my favorite people on the planet. Who's that, babe?
Oh my goodness. Is that Dr. Denise?
Yes, that's my Dr.
Just
Danita.
kidding, sis. I know she's talking about you.
That's my Dr. Danita. Will be here in 2 weeks. Yeah, and we're going to be talking about mental health care and the importance of, look at him tapping his pencil.
See,
now I know I'm dragging it out on purpose. Now. I'm doing it on purpose now because he said the game is it's not the Knicks, is it?
If it's Knicks, I'd have walked.
Oh, I know. Yeah, so it must not be the Knicks. So anywho, we're going to be talking about the importance of addressing mental health sooner rather than later. Why that matters. Okay? So anywho, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Again, subscribe, like, and share, and share, and share, and share. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. God bless you. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.